All right, let's go to the Buyers Barricade guest line, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds today. He is the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Coach Schottenheimer joins us on the program. Good morning, Coach.
Morning. Hey, I gotta laugh. I mean, I just was coming in listening to your guys' segment, and it's all what the missus wants.
Well, yeah,
I know, literally when we get done with games and whether we win or lose, my wife she's ready with some suggestions. She'll give me 15 to 30 seconds in the car to kind of unwind. And then she's like, okay, you feel better? I'm like, yeah, I feel better. And then she just starts laying into me like, hey, don't run the ball up the middle on this down and don't do this and get the ball to Terp. And I'm like, wow.
Well, I'm so happy to hear this, Coach. I'm so happy to hear this.
Something tells me Bill Belichick's girlfriend isn't talking football with him on the car ride home.
No, they're talking entirely different conversation, man.
Well, listen, my wife is. So listen, there's sometimes I wish she'd talk about other things, but man, she's a football junkie too, so I can't get away from it. But
Rob's not the master. Rob's not the master of his house like I am, Coach.
Yeah.
Like right now, I have a standalone mustache that Rob said my wife is going to make me get rid of, but I don't have to do what my wife says.
Yeah, I'm sleep on the couch for the rest of your life.
Yeah, but Rob's a different guy. He whatever. So do you have to take your wife's advice, or do you just say, "Oh, sure, honey," and then go back to throwing the ball around?
Well, just because there's hundreds of thousands of people listening, I'm of course going to lie and say, "Oh, I never take her advice."
Yeah, there we go.
You're damn right, I take her advice. Hell yeah, I do. I want to be married for a long time.
He's an honest man.
All right, Coach. This has been I would guess, and I wanted to ask you this. I talked about it earlier in the show. I'm imagining this has been your toughest week as the head coach of the Cowboys, because even after the Eagles loss, it felt like a good loss. Like I know those things don't really exist in the NFL, but there was a lot of people saying, man, you guys, that's the defending champs. You guys hung right in there with them, could have won the game. And then week 2, even when things didn't go totally as planned, you still walked out with a win. This one, I'm imagining there's not a lot of rose-colored glasses you can put on this game against the Bears. Has this been a difficult week for you as the head coach, as far as like having to eat that bleep that comes along with being the man in charge for the first time?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I mean, obviously it wasn't a great game. We did not play well. We did not play well enough to win. And as crazy as that sounds, like sometimes it's easier for you to say, okay, well, yeah, we did not deserve to win the game. Hell, we turned the ball over. We couldn't get, off the field on third down. We gave up, 5 or 6 explosive plays for over 200 yards. And but if you believe in the mindset of compete every day, which I do, if you believe in the fact that you're guaranteed 17 rounds of title fights, which is an NFL regular season schedule, and you trust the process, Monday's Monday, and Monday is Tell the Truth Monday, guys. And we get up and, literally you come in and you've already seen the film because you watch it on your way home from the game. And then we go in and we make some adjustments, and the players come in, we make the adjustments, and then you move on to getting ready for a great opponent coming in here in Green Bay. And you're immediately have to move on, because the worst thing that you can do in this business is to have a hangover and be concerned about something in the past when you've got another elite team. And that's every week. I mean, it's not just the Packers, it's the Jets, it's the Panthers, it's everybody. And so, I am the same guy, try to be the same guy every day. Am I 100% with that? No. Do I have emotions? Absolutely I do. And I've got a temper, but again, disappointed we didn't play well, but at the same time excited that we get a chance to correct that on Sunday night.
As you're doing triage and prep for this week, what was the biggest concern? Injuries on the line, defense? What was the first thing that needed to be addressed on that Monday morning come to Jesus?
Well, I think obviously, that when you talk about injuries are part of the game, and you hate to see injuries, stack up some, but it's part of the game and everybody deals with it. I would say the biggest thing is just, how do we limit the big plays on defense? Because I really feel like even in going back to the Chicago game, we're driving down the field and it's 31-14, and we throw the interception early in the fourth quarter. But I really feel like, guys, like if we can find a way to get that one in there, they get the ball that gets tipped up and gets intercepted. Like if we can make it a 31-21 game, that's where you draw off your past of the Giants game of winning close games and things like that. But the biggest thing that we've been focused on Monday, which is what you guys asked about, was okay. Hey, look, you're going to give up plays on defense, and the way the league quantifies it, you guys know it, but explosive passes are any 16 yards or more. Explosive runs are going to a catalog of 12 yards or more. But we're not giving up 16-yard passes. We're giving up 35-yard passes and 60-yard passes and things like that. And so those are the things that prevent you from sustaining success and winning games. And that's where that comes down to communication. And our communication has not been good enough. So what do? Well, as a coach, you make changes. And one of the biggest changes we've made is we're now doing more meetings with the linebackers in a room with the safeties and corners and nickels, and they all sit in little pods. And when the play runs, they're talking and they're saying, hey, okay, here's the call. It's base 3 and okay, close left. And okay, then the receiver goes across. Okay, rip, Roy, whatever it is. And to hear these guys, to force these guys to communicate, because if you can't communicate in a air-conditioned room, sitting in comfy chairs here at the Star, then how are you going to do it, when it's moving faster and it's rolling in front of 75,000 screaming fans? And the answer to that question is you can't. And so that's been the main thing for us. And I really feel like, we're trying to tighten some things up, simplify some things so we can play fast. And we need to play with confidence. And I get right now our guys are, like, man, we just got to stop the bleeding a little bit. But the only ones that can do that is us, ourselves. And I love that. That's why I've got grit tatted on my wrist or on my hand, because it takes tough guys to play in coach's game.
Coach Schottenheimer joining us here on the program, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds. Coach, one more question about last week before we move on to the next game. Down the stretch when, Dak was kind of dinking and dunking to Ferguson, and I know you never want to give up completely on a game, but you guys had already dealt with some injuries in that thing. You'd already lost Booker. You'd already lost CD. Were you guys just trying to, by not going down the field, it felt like not trying to make explosive plays to get back into the game. Were you guys just trying to kind of get this game through and start getting ready for the next one at that point?
No, absolutely not. I mean, we played that game until we took Dak out, which was I think 4 minutes to go in the game. We were still playing that game to win. I think what they did a really good job of, Rob and AJ, is, and give Chicago some credit, they did a nice job, man, of playing us really, really deep and soft, and they weren't going to allow us to throw the ball over their heads. And that's a byproduct of the score being what it was, sure. Right? Like when you're protecting a big lead like that, believe me, we called plenty of shots in that situation. But if the shots aren't there, you can't be as cavalier as just to lob one up into double coverage to George Pickens, because you do feel like if you can keep chipping away at it, and then, like I said, imagine, if we can finish that drive early in the fourth quarter and you make it a 31-20. I mean, these games flip fast. I mean, hell, look at the Giants game. How right. fast they were able to. And again, we did not do a good job of keeping the ball in front of us against the Giants, and that's why they stormed back. Whereas Chicago and their team and defense did a really good job of keeping the ball in front. But there were plenty of shots called. It's just the ball's got to go based off where the coverage kind of tells it sometimes.
You pulled it with 4 minutes to go, but Dak has not been the problem. In fact, I don't think I've seen Dak play any better. And obviously there's some things to polish up, and the interception is certainly an issue, but your quarterback is dialed in. How did you get here considering all the things he's had to deal with? Is it just health and comfort?
Well, I think, again, a lot of it comes back to just the trust that he and I have in each other. I think, that's the big part of the relationship of why, I'm sitting in this chair is my relationship with Dak, and I know him and he knows me. And, but what he's playing with confidence with, guys, is because I think, he's seeing things really clear. And when you watch his footwork, and I'm just so proud of him because he's worked so hard at getting good at some of the under center stuff that we want him to do, which I think he's done a great job with. I think we know that Dak's a guy that's going to really thrive in anything that we do, but our action passing game, our play action passing game has been really, really good. But it just, I think it shows you how hard this guy works, man. You know, I got to say this. I don't think I've ever been around another quarterback, and these guys are all incredible workers, man. I'm telling you, incredible. And I'm not taking away from anybody, but this guy is incredible, man. This guy works on his body 24/7. He works on studying the opponent 24/7. He works on mastering our system 24/7. And, like, it just shows you that hard work makes a difference. And this is a guy that just has bought into, and nothing's been given to him. And he is working his tail off every week to be the best that he can be. And I think that's why you're seeing him play with so much confidence.
Coach, I'm guessing we're the first ones to ask you about Micah Parsons coming to town on Sunday. I don't know if you were aware he is playing for the Green Bay Packers. I've heard it kicked around some media. I don't know how deep you're into that kind of stuff.
I don't even think they talk about it up there.
Hold on. Hey, let me get my roster out, guys. I got to check. Let me get my roster here. Oh, okay. Yes.
He's number one.
I think, he's wearing number one now. It's different. It probably shows up different on film.
And he looks fast. Yeah, he looks fast on the film I've been watching. Yeah, he looks fast.
Now, Coach, what's the – obviously, last week the tight ends were involved a lot in pass catching. My assumption is you're going to have to leave some back to help this week. Your tackles continue to kind of struggle against the rush, and they got another guy, Rashawn Gary, on the other side who's pretty decent. So it's going to be hard to give too much attention to Micah. What's the strategy in your mind to slow down that pass rush?
Yeah, well, I think, first of all, thank you, number one, for saying that, because I've been saying that all week, and it's not to take anything away from Micah. We all know what a great player Micah is. But Rashawn Gary is a hell of a football player, too, and they've got incredible team speed. And the answer to the question, though, is, again, there's going to be a lot of people involved, right? There's going to be tight ends involved. There's going to be backs involved. There's going to be receivers involved. The tackles have to play well in this game, because you can't keep everybody in and push the ball down the field. But again, it's a process, and I think the big thing for us is we want to be multiple with that, so that Jeff Hafley and his defensive staff in Green Bay can't get a fix on what we're doing. But what's been fun to watch as a football junkie like I am is how they're using Micah and the pieces and stuff like that. And it's a scary thought for the league, and it's something that will be, a little bit focused on, is how they want to move him around and use him with Rashawn. But very, very talented team, very, very talented defense coming in here, and it's going to be quite a challenge.
How do you address the lack of CeeDee Lamb and adding the other dude that needs to get some more? How do you address that, knowing full well the value that CeeDee brought to you?
Well, again, I think number one, you hate to see it for CD, because, again, I think, having an incredible year, and, he really has had a huge impact on us. But my conversation with CD has been about, look, you were voted captain not just because of your ability to play on the field. You were voted captain because of how you impact the locker room. And just because you might not be playing for a little while doesn't mean you can't impact the locker room. You know what I'm saying? And so, but again, the ball's got to get spread around, and, whether it's Jalen Tolbert, a guy that led the team in touchdowns, last year with 7, or Turp, or GP getting featured. And, like you guys mentioned, Fergie had a huge game, and we can't just keep Fergie in the whole time. But again, we go as the running game goes, guys. I mean, I really felt like last game we could have run for probably 200 yards, and that's saying a lot in the National Football League. It's just when the score got to where it was, we couldn't continue to run the ball and have enough time to claw back into the game. And so, again, I think that's a huge, huge part of it, is the running game and the play passes that come off that. But next man up is real, and again, hopefully CD gets back sooner rather than later, and I think he will. But at the end of the day, we knew that this would be something that throughout the course of the year, you're going to have guys step up when people are forced to miss time.
Well, so far in the run game, the best offensive lineman you've had has been Tyler Booker, at least per PFF grading. Him being out for a while, do you guys do you think you can, and now that you've got cluster interior O-line injuries, do you think you're going to be able to replace him and still have that effectiveness on the run game?
Well, again, the strength and power of Tyler Booker. That's why we took him, 12th overall in the draft, and you love that. I mean, so he's hard to replace. But what we have done a nice job of, Will and Steven and Jerry, is we've got good depth. I really think that's important. I mean, a guy like Brock Hoffman's been here. You'll see TJ Bass play quite a bit. TJ's been here for a while. These are guys that know the system. These are guys that have played together. These are guys that believe in one another. And Again, running the football is more than just one guy. You guys know that. Again, I think, the mindset and the intensity of our offensive line should never change based on who's out there. And again, we believe that, we preach that, and then I think the players will show that on Sunday night.
Coach, I think you guys set up the right way, I think anytime you've got a first-year head coach, a new head coach, a guy who's making his first head coaching job, I think it's great to have a coordinator who has been there and done that, who you can kind of lean on. And you guys did that with Eberflus. Is it difficult when his side of the ball is struggling for you to have conversations with him as sort of the guy who, has been there and done it, and you've been in his shoes and he knows what it's like to say, hey man, I need more out of your side of the ball? Is that a tough conversation to have for you guys?
No, and thank you for asking that question, because the answer is no. Like, Flus has been awesome, and they look, Flus is feeling the pain. He's never been here before. He wants his guys to play well, and they're going to play well. But Flus is so easy to talk to, and again, I think because I've been through this before, I've been the coordinator that your unit's not playing to standard, and you're not sleeping at night because you're like, man, you're worried about what do I need to do better and what can I do? Because you always start guys looking at yourself. You always do. Matt Eberflus is looking at himself before he looks at anything else. And the conversations have been great, and he's been so open to my thoughts. And again, I'm not the greatest defensive mind in the world, but I get people and I get communication and I understand those things. So I know the solutions are out there. I know we're going to play better, and it's because of the work ethic that Flus and the defensive staff have, but then the want to that our players have. I think that's so important.
All right, that is Coach Brian Schottenheimer. Coach, we appreciate the time.
Yes, sir.
And good luck this weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, guys. Always enjoy visiting. Thank you.